know I keep talking about it. I know that story about Washington and the saucer, but let's go back to it for a third time here. So Washington pours the tea into the hot tea into the saucer to show Jefferson why the Senate must cool the impulses of the House. Now let's kind of imagine a different scene. So Washington receives a secret letter from a foreign diplomat, and it's a warning about a brewing alliance or a potential betrayal or a negotiation that's too delicate for the newspapers and the populace. And Jefferson, all excited, says, yeah, let's bring it before the House. Let's let the people decide immediately. And Washington just slowly shakes his head and pours the tea into the saucer again and says, some matters must be cooled and some must be protected. This is what Federalist 64 tries to address. John Jay's back after a long hiatus here, and he's going to argue that the Senate is necessary not just to cool down legislation, but also to shield foreign negotiations from chaos or corruption or public volatility. I'm Matt Haskell. I'm a high school history and civics teacher, and we're going through all 85 of the Federalist Papers, one by one, in order. We're up to number 64, 21 to go. And this is Jay's final Federalist paper. And it's one where he's laser focused basically on one question, and that is, why are treaties made by the president with advice and consent from the Senate and not by the House? And Jay's answer comes down to two realities. Diplomacy is delicate, and diplomacy is dangerous. And so what he's saying is a republic must protect itself from, foreign trickery or corruption, impulsive public pressures, sudden shifts in popular opinion, and then just the overall chaos of the 1780s state-by-state, diplomatic record. And so the Senate, which is what Jay will argue here, is built for this particular type of work. Jay's core argument, his main claim is that foreign policy requires wisdom and secrecy and stable judgment. And the Senate is the body that is most capable of providing those qualities. The House is too large, it's too changeable, it's too open, and the Senate is smaller, it's more experienced, and it's more insulated from factional tempests, the storms of party. This isn't anti-democratic. What Jay is actually saying is more anti-chaos. And so Jay will go on to identify 4 reasons in this essay why the Senate is suited to handle treaties. One is experience. Senators tend to be a little bit older, better traveled, more seasoned. Continuity would be that 6-year terms give them institutional memory, which is crucial for long negotiations. Then there's accountability with stability, and this is the senators remain answerable to the people, but not so frequently that they have to chase every passing impulse. And then finally, state representation. Treaties affect states differently, like the coast versus the inland, or trade versus agriculture, so that states deserve a voice through the Senate. And these factors create a body that's capable of meeting foreign nations on equal footing. Jay's pretty frank in 64 here. He's like, the House is just too large for secrecy. It's elected too frequently for continuity. It's too open to debate for urgent or delicate negotiations. It's too vulnerable to sudden public passions. And that it's just too unstable to maintain consistent foreign policy. Foreign powers could exploit all those things, and you can't negotiate with Britain or France or Spain in a room where 200 people, debate every line in front of an audience. So diplomacy needs to be, it needs focus and it needs discretion. Jay warns that foreign nations will absolutely attempt to influence American decision-making. He writes that European courts will try anything like bribery or flattery or manipulation, secret, appeals and promises, and then faction-favoring diplomacy, like leaning towards future political parties. And in a smaller body like the Senate, it's easier to monitor and it's harder to corrupt, and it's all those things more so than the large, rapidly changing House of Representatives. So this is an early national security argument. J will compare treaties to contracts, that they require trust, they require clarity, and they bind the nation for years or decades, and they shape national character abroad. So a nation that constantly rewrites its agreement loses credibility. And so a stable Senate helps ensure the continuity of policy across administrations and also generations. But in this essay, Jay does walk a pretty delicate line. He believes in public accountability, but he also insists that some details must remain confidential until those negotiations are complete. Revealing every diplomatic position publicly weakens the bargaining. It signals the strategic vulnerabilities. It exposes allies. And then it also emboldens adversaries. And even the most democratic nations must have a place where responsible secrecy can live. The Senate happens to be that particular place. So, if we tighten down Jay's chain of reasoning and his 5 reasons why, well, treaties require experience, maturity, and continuity. The Senate uniquely provides those qualities. The House is too large, too open, and too changeable. Diplomacy demands secrecy and stability. And finally, a stable treaty-making body protects the nation from foreign manipulation. There's number 64 in 5 easy steps. Now, Jay does write as a man who has already negotiated abroad for the young United States. So he does know foreign ministers and international courts and all the European intrigue, but also the fragility of American power. And so Jay's tone is not poetic. It's protective. The Senate is not a luxury. It is a diplomatic shield, which then leads us to Jay's moral argument, and that is a republic must protect itself from foreign influence without sacrificing accountability to its own people. And so the treaty power that exists for the executive reflects balance of shared authority, mutual oversight, limited secrecy, and then long-term responsibility. The Senate ensures that foreign policy is neither reckless nor corrupt. And so 64 resonates today about, when it comes down to things like who should control international agreements, trade negotiations, alliances, wartime diplomacy, national security secrets. And we still debate the president's power, the Senate process of ratification, transparency versus secrecy, oversight, foreign influence, continuity between administrations. And so Jay's argument remains that the constitutional foundation of American diplomacy. Presidents today tend to venture away from treaties and more into executive agreements with foreign powers. Our 3 takeaways today are that treaties require experience, stability, and discretion. The Senate provides those qualities better than the House, and shared power protects the republic from both abuse and foreign manipulation. So Federalist 64 is John Jay's case that a republic cannot survive on excitement and openness and popular passion alone. It also needs maturity, discretion, continuity, and steady hands. The House speaks for the moment. The Senate speaks for the nation. And together, they ensure that treaties reflect both democratic values and enduring national interests. So Washington's cooling saucer didn't just save the tea, right? It protected our republic's place in the world. If you enjoyed this particular episode, and hopefully it helped you understand the Senate's treaty power when it comes to advice and oversight, please share this with someone that you care about or that they care about politics. And hang around, because I'll be getting ready. I'm going to write some this afternoon. I'll be working on Federalist number 65. And this is where Hamilton comes back, and he's going to tackle the explosive issue of impeachment, the power that the legislature has as a check over the executive and judicial branches. Hey, thanks for hanging around this day after Thanksgiving, and I appreciate you watching. Take care.